Okay, so we're in the last stage, and this is going to be very short, this video. It's a Calvin cycle, stage 2, page 198 of your 8th edition book. The cycle builds up sugar from smaller molecules using ATP and NADH. Carbon dioxide, there it is the source for the carbon and the oxygen in my sugar molecule. And water is the source for the hydrogen. There's my water. Remember, light is going to break it into oxygen. That's called photolysis. And the hydrogens eventually get reduced NADPH. You think of it as a truck. There's my truck. It's going to truck over hydrogen ions over to the Calvin cycle, which is where? In the stroma. Okay? Carbon dioxide is going to come in, and in this cycle, it's going to eventually produce carbohydrates like sugar. Now, take a look at this. You'll find this in your textbook. Don't worry, you don't have to memorize this, but we do want to understand a little bit about this Calvin cycle. Carbon enters cycle as carbon dioxide and leaves as G3P. That's the sugar, it's called. There's 3 phases. Phase 1, fixation is converting inorganic carbon, carbon dioxide, into organic form, like glucose, eventually glucose, so organic form. Remember, organic chemistry is carbon-based chemistry, but there's some exceptions that aren't organic, like carbon dioxide is not an organic compound. Glucose is. So anytime we use that fixation, that's what we mean. Inorganic to organic. Okay, so that's the first thing. It's going to combine with a 5-carbon compound called RUBP, okay? But it's very unstable. So what then happens is ATP phosphorylates this, stabilizes it, and we get this biphosphate, 3 carbons. Well, if that's 3 carbons, where did they come from again? 1 carbon enters at a time, okay? But we're going to need 6 carbons eventually to make glucose. I know it gets a little bit confusing. That's okay. That's okay. We'll get through it. So the second phase is reduction. Why do we call it reduction? Because here's my truck, remember? Where my truck came? Well, it's going this way. My truck is laden with hydrogen ions and electrons. And when this gains electrons, gain in electrons is reduction, okay? It also gains hydrogen ions, and it becomes this G3 compound. One of those will be used to make glucose. When we combine it with another one, we'll make glucose. And one of them goes on to regenerate the cycle. Because if it all just stopped here, then we wouldn't have any material anymore to combine with the carbon dioxides that are coming in from the leaf. There they are right there, okay? So that's why we need to regenerate this 5-carbon sugar called RUBP. So to make 1 glucose, you're going to need 18 molecules of ATP. You're going to need 12 NADPHs. Now, why is that? And also, you're going to need 6 water molecules and 6 carbon dioxides to make that. Okay, so I'm going to go back to the slide here and just take a look at this here. Okay, so if I make one of these, okay, 1 molecule, the cycle must take place 3 times. So this must go 3 times, okay, because we need 3 molecules of carbon dioxide to come in, okay, to make that. So this will actually take 6, 7, 8, 9 ATPs, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 6 NADPs, H's. to make one of these. But then again, when two of these combine, I'm going to make one glucose. So then we would have to double these numbers to make one glucose. Okay, one glucose, double those numbers, 6 waters, oh, 6 carbon dioxide is going to have to come in to make a glucose. That makes sense because glucose is 6, right? So this thing will have to turn 6 times, Calvin cycle 6 times to make one glucose molecule. We're going to work on a couple of labs as well, chromatography, and we're going to be adding acetone. And as you can see with this paper, it's going to draw the pigments up, and we should get something that looks like this over here. So that's going to be one of the labs we're going to do. So this is on chromatography paper. And we'll see this in action. There's my chlorophyll A's and B's. These are the accessory pigments, carotenes, xanthophylls. That's what we should be getting, something like that. The other thing I want you to do is I want you to watch Crash Course, okay? So click on these notes and take just a notice about the evolutionary importance of Rubisco, and then block ones, try this. If you're in block 3 later on this week, try that and try the photosynthesis test. And I'll leave this open for a week, okay?